This is what it looks like when an AI model goes rogue. A few models from OpenAI recently broke out of their training environment, accessed the internet, and took thousands of actions targeting another AI company to complete their training objective. In addition to OpenAI, several other companies including Anthropic, Meta, and China's Moonshot AI, which makes the popular model Kimi K3, have reported their AI models going rogue. They're alarming leaders in Washington and the private sector who don't know where the next attack might come next.
This is the first sort of security incident that I have felt very viscerally.
These incidents are adding to fears that the latest AI models can carry out cyber attacks almost on their own. That's increasing pressure on lawmakers in Washington and businesses around the country to take action. To understand how these AI models went rogue, you also need to understand how they are trained. In the OpenAI case, the company was using what's known as a sandbox, a contained environment, and in that environment, they remove many of the guardrails on purpose that they would normally have when releasing a model to the public to see what their model can do. And the idea is that they put them through a number of different tests and challenges to test their power. Some of these challenges are essentially digital versions of capture the flag. The model is given software that has a known bug in it. It tries to break into that software to identify the bug, then prove that it has successfully completed the task. Recent models like Anthropic's Mythos and OpenAI's GPT 5.6 have gotten so proficient at hacking that they are essentially capable of carrying out these attacks on their own. And that's fueled all these concerns about cyber attacks going around the world. In June, the Trump administration essentially forced Anthropic to take down 2 versions of its Mythos model over concerns that the safeguards weren't adequate before it was released to a large number of people. That was the first time something like that had ever happened.
We saw this huge jump. It was a particularly large jump. And without us really prompting them at all, some of the early companies that we gave this to said things like, "This is a super weapon. You should have to own a gun license to use it."
OpenAI's models hacked Hugging Face, another AI company. They found vulnerabilities in their training environment, took advantage of those to access the internet, then used swarms of attackers to take some 17,000 actions against Hugging Face over the course of several days. They were trying to get very specific information and complete their training objective. Think of it as cheating to get the answers on a test. Their models essentially decided that being on the internet and hacking another organization was the most effective way of completing their training objective. The hacks are increasing pressure in Washington to get more done and pass the nation's first AI rules. Fears about models going rogue have contributed to a nationwide backlash against the technology and made AI sentiment really negative.
We need to understand the capability of these models, and when there is a serious incident, there needs to be a requirement that it's reported to the government.
The Trump administration has elected to keep pre-release testing of these models voluntary. The administration recently finalized an agreement with top AI companies that would have the leading companies in the space like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google submit their models for pre-release testing to the government for review of security and other factors, but many other companies would be exempted, so some of the smaller AI companies. President Trump and the White House have emphasized the need to balance security and innovation. They don't want to cede any ground to China in the AI race, while they are acknowledging there are some cybersecurity risks here.
China has virtually no controls. It's freewheeling a little bit. So we have to be careful in both ways. We don't want to restrict them, where all of a sudden we come in second to China.
Several Chinese companies recently released AI models that are almost as good as the leading US tools. They are more accessible and cheaper, but they also don't have nearly as many guardrails. Hugging Face used an open Chinese model that can be customized to respond to OpenAI's hack. And they did that because a comparable model from Anthropic wouldn't let it carry out the same functions due to security guardrails. The Trump administration is considering actions to restrict access to Chinese open models that can be customized, but tech leaders in recent weeks have asked the administration not to do that. They've said that these models are good for innovation and competition in the space.
They're an amazing resource for so many people in the US. Like if you think, research labs, small companies, startups, big companies that are running kind of like large AI workloads, most of the time they can't really use a frontier API, so they need an open model. And the reality is that right now the best ones are coming from China.
In another sign of increasing security concerns, more than 1,000 AI researchers at all the big leading US AI labs recently put out a statement suggesting that there needs to be a globally coordinated brake pedal for AI development in the future. They're worried about a situation where AI essentially improves on its own. For their part, leading AI companies say they will work with the third parties that test their models to make sure those environments are secure and prevent this kind of thing from happening in the future. They are also saying they welcome more government oversight as long as it doesn't hinder innovation. In early August, OpenAI announced it was pausing some development of its latest AI model, Astra, after internal evaluations led the company to conclude it could not rule out critical cyber capabilities. Progressive lawmakers, including Bernie Sanders, are now calling for AI companies to pause development and publicly respond to questions from lawmakers.